Well, without further ado, we'll get into the program, and our first speaker is Paul Deggs. And Paul is the Chief Engineer and Deputy Commissioner of the Tennessee Department of Transportation, where he oversees design and implementation of all TDOT engineering projects. In addition to this responsibility, Paul manages the activities of 8 divisions and 4 regional offices. He has overseen awarding more than 2,800 projects with a construction value of over $5.6 billion. Paul currently serves as Vice Chairman of the AASHTO Subcommittee, or the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, AASHTO, Standing Committee on Highways. The committee is responsible for developing all major engineering standards and policies for the highway program, as well as investigating, studying, and reporting all engineering activities and developments. In addition, he is a member of several other AASHTO committees, including asset management, climate change, performance management, and the Highway Partnership for Highway Quality. Paul received his Bachelor of Science degree in Civil Engineering from Tennessee Technological University and is a licensed engineer. Paul serves on the advisory board of the National Center for Pavement Preservation, the advisory board for the Tennessee Technological Institute, and on the Dean of Engineering Strategic Direction team. Paul and his wife, Sandra, have 2 children and 2 grandchildren. Please welcome Paul.
Thanks, Larry, and welcome to Nashville, welcome to Tennessee. Appreciate y'all coming out. We got a great crowd here. I think we've got a great conference lined up for you. I think the agenda has a lot to offer everybody. I do want to say, though, you know, we ordered the weather for you this week, so we got some good weather. If you're not a farmer, it's pretty good. If you're trying to grow something, not so good, but good weather, good weather for putting product down on the highways as well. So I think that the demo tomorrow should work pretty good. I do want to offer to you that Tennessee is a beautiful state, and I suspect a lot of you came in by automobile. And as you head back home and go different directions, maybe you go to East Tennessee, you might want to swing through the Great Smoky Mountains, down through Chattanooga, maybe see the Tennessee Aquarium and the Chattanooga Choo Choo. If you go a little bit west of here, you can, at Natchez Trace State Park, you can head a little north, you can see the largest pecan tree in the state of Tennessee. It's pretty cool. They had to put big cables to hold it together, but go down to Memphis, see the Stax Museum and of American soul music, and a lot to see. Here in Nashville, now, you've got to try you some hot fried chicken while you're here. It's hot fried chicken and a cold beer is pretty good. So there's a few places around where you can get that. So we're here to talk about maintaining our investment in infrastructure. When Larry asked the asset owners and managers to stand up, the bulk of the people here own and are responsible for maintaining those assets. And you know, I think it's important for all of us to keep that in mind. You know, for most agencies, your pavement and bridge assets are your most expensive items. They constitute the bulk of the assets that you own. So one of the things that we're fond of saying here in Tennessee is, you know, before you build a swimming pool in your backyard, you need to make sure your roof don't leak. And so before we start building new capacity and adding new capacity to our networks, we really have to maintain what we have out there. You know, high quality roads really impact the bottom line of your agency. If you don't maintain your roads well, you're going to be spending a whole lot more money on maintenance. In addition to that, the users of your network that have to drive down rough roads are going to pay higher costs to maintain their rolling stock out there. If you're a business owner, we've got a lot of businesses that drive to Nashville to Memphis, Nashville to Birmingham, Nashville to Louisville, you know, 2-3 times a night. And you know, when your roads are in rough shape, it not only costs you money to maintain your network because of increased costs, but it also costs those businesses. When your economic recruiters are trying to recruit jobs to your state and you've got an out-of-state or perhaps an out-of-country industry that's looking to invest millions, sometimes billions of dollars in your state, if they see a rundown network of transportation, they might ask themselves, well, if I move to Tennessee, am I going to get treated that way? I think it's important for us to maintain our network at a high quality level. It helps us recruit jobs to our homes. It helps have a high quality of life. And I think that is our responsibility. And frankly, that's why we're here today. We've been trying to push in Tennessee down this pathway for 10 or 12 years or so. We've had some successes, and Business Facilities Magazine has rated Tennessee's infrastructure as #2 in the country. NBC as well does their report card, and they rank our system as #2 in the country. I think we're tied with Texas this year. And in addition to that, in Tennessee, the Brookings Institute has ranked Tennessee this year is the #1 state for advanced industry job growth. So while a high quality infrastructure system doesn't create jobs, without it, the ability to recruit those jobs to your state, I think, is somewhat depressed. So in Tennessee, as I mentioned, we've really been trying to push pavement preservation for better than 10 years now and trying to come up with a strong program. We have about 1,200 centerline miles of road in Tennessee on our interstate system and about 14,000 miles overall of state highways with about 8,000 bridges on that network. It's a lot to keep up with, and frankly, you know, we're no different than any other asset owner. I've got a budget of about $1.8 billion. That's a lot of money, but I have a lot of assets to keep up with. Every other asset owner out there in the country is faced with the same issue. I've got a relatively fixed amount of money that is not growing very fast, and I have a large asset base to take care of. In Tennessee this year, we'll have about $227 million in our pavement management program. That is based on an analysis that looks to the future and makes sure that we're trying to trend in the right direction. But how did we get started? About 10 years ago, when we started looking at our pavement quality metrics on how we measure the quality of our pavement, we started seeing some issues across the state that in general, the average numbers were pretty good, but in some parts of the state, I had really good roads and really bad roads, and then a whole bunch in the middle that was kind of mediocre. In other parts of the state, and I'll credit our people up on the Cumberland Plateau area of the state. I see one of them back here right now. That they really had a strong management program that looked at trying to maintain the entire network, and instead of chasing the worst roads around and doing a worst first approach, they had a planned approach. And when you looked at the bell curve of how those roads looked, overall we had a much stronger program. As dollars kept getting tighter in the late 2000s, we kept seeing a mushroom cloud building, and so we knew we had to have a much stronger program out there. So we had to address the issue, and in doing that, we started looking at, well, how could we do this? We knew that as petroleum prices kept going up, I couldn't just put more hot mix asphalt out there. Look, I love me some hot mix asphalt, but I just couldn't afford to put it down fast enough to keep up with the increasing price and the increasing deterioration. So we started looking at what other options are available to us, did work through research with the University of Tennessee and others, looked at research that other DOTs across the country, pulled some help down from FHWA, AASHTO, the SHARP 2 program. We're still doing that stuff, and so we've started creating these new treatments that allow us to get more life out of that asset that we've put together. So, but we also partnered with our existing industry. Our hot mix asphalt guys are very important to us in Tennessee. We worked with them and they said, hey, you know, we think we can develop a thin lift asphalt program. And they did that working with us. It was successful. And we've even bid some of those thin mix lifts, thin mix, hot mix against some microsurfacing and other treatments. And we're seeing good competition out there. And when we look across the state, we're getting a lot of bang for our buck. And so we're seeing things get better out there. We also tried to put together some standard operating guidelines to where our field staff could take this menu out, look at the right road, the right application at the right time, and try to look for a way where we could come up with a low-cost transportation program. We're fortunate here in Tennessee today. In Tennessee, Tennesseans pay the third lowest cost per capita for transportation as compared to other states in the country. At the same time, as I mentioned earlier, we rank very high in a quality standpoint. We've also created a pavement engineer. We have a pavement management individual. You know, if I have a bridge issue, I go to my structures director. You know, there was a time where if I had a pavement issue, it depended on who I went to. So now I have a pavement guru that I can go to in the department to help us manage the program better and provide better assistance to our field staff that's managing individual assets at the district level. So as I look ahead in Tennessee, I think that this conference and educational opportunities like it are very important to us. I'm still not dug out of the hole of that worst first approach. Between a worst first approach and that what they call it, a correction in the petroleum market that jacked our prices up real high, that, you know, I've still got issues out there that if when I look long term over 10 or longer years, I've got to make sure my trend line is going the right directions. We have a lot of challenges against us. We really don't know the impact of autonomous vehicles on the network right now. How is that going to impact management of our assets? Freight is continuing to grow. We're anticipating maybe about a 12% growth in freight over the next 10 years in Tennessee. That's going to do a lot to impact our system. We also want to be able to look at, like many states, instead of deep repairs on our particular asphalt pavements, we've been doing a lot of these thin repairs. Do we need to be looking at ground penetrating radar and other technologies to say, when do I need to look at a deep repair as opposed to a thin type of repair? So you really got the opportunity this week to interact with your peers, other asset owners, with industry professionals, talk to those people in the trade show, and talk to the people out on over at the Titans parking lot when we're putting stuff in. Talk to people about what they're doing. How can you bring knowledge back to your organization to help preserve and maintain our infrastructure? Like I said, a lot of information is going to be flying this year. Public, whether you're a DOT, a county highway agency, a contractor, a supplier, public funds are being entrusted to us collectively as an industry. And to really make this country a strong, economically competitive country in the international stage, we need to make sure that we're getting the longest possible life for the lowest possible investment out of our transportation infrastructure. It's good for you, it's good for me, it's good for America. So I want to thank everybody for coming out and enjoy the conference and enjoy Tennessee this week. Thank you.